Hey everybody, it's Andrew back again, and we have a really good review here today of a laptop that I was highly anticipating getting into the studio, and I'm glad that it came into the studio. What you see here is the Lenovo Slim Pro 9i, or otherwise known as the Yoga Pro 9i outside North America. Of course, it can get a little bit confusing with the naming, but the thing to take away from this is a laptop that is geared towards content creators, consumers, gamers even, and overall video editors, stuff like that, because this has a pretty powerful CPU GPU combination in a pretty light package considering what it packs under the hood. We're going to get into it today, but what it really does have is a gorgeous mini LED display, 16 inches, 3.2K resolution, 3200 by 2000. That is absolutely gorgeous. It's a touch display. It really works out great. And most of all, or best of all, I should say, 1200 nits of peak brightness on this, folks. We're not playing around. So let's get into it. Exactly why I think this might be one of the best laptops geared towards content creators here for 2023. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the Lenovo Slim Pro 9i here for 2023. Coming up. Now, before we get to the unit itself, I just want to let everyone know that I'm not being paid by Lenovo. I'm not being sponsored by Lenovo. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Lenovo is not getting copy approval. That means you're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this unit is on loan from Lenovo, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. Now, pricing basically starts at $17.99 over at Costco. That's the unit I have here today. That one has the RTX 4050 GPU, but if you go on over to B&H Photo, that has the best SKU in my opinion. It has the RTX 4060 with the 32 gigabytes of RAM, and everything else is the same, of course, which is the Core i9 13905H as far as the CPU. Again, $1849 is a really good deal. Remember, I'll leave links for everything in the description below. Now, Lenovo's website says it's coming soon. I don't have any exact time or pricing from Lenovo itself, but I will supplement that as that information becomes available. Now, for those wondering, it comes in two colors, Storm Gray, which is what I have here today, and Tidal Teal. Now, Tidal Teal is only available outside North America, and that's the same color we saw with the Yoga Book 9i. I really like it. Unfortunately, it's not available here in the US. I would like to have that available at some point. We have the Storm Gray. I'm a big fan of the Storm Gray, but it's not as exciting in terms of colors as that Tidal Teal. I have to admit that. And with specs and pricing out of the way, let's find out what you get inside the box. Okay, so looks like we get some typical Lenovo packaging here. Looks like 170 watts, and it uses the proprietary connection. It looks like USB type A, but it is a proprietary Lenovo connection. We've seen this before. Okay. Pretty big boy here. It's a pretty hefty. We'll get into that in a moment. We get some documentation here. Lenovo Slim Pro 9, 16-inch. And I guess that's Gen 8, I guess. That's what it signifies, usually. Some warranty, safety information, yada, yada, yada. So we have the Storm Gray finish here. We've seen this before. And I got to tell you, the Storm Gray will show the least amount of fingerprints, but I did take a look at that Tidal Teal as we did with the Yoga Book 9i. I'll have that full review 1 month in the next couple of days. That's looking good so far. So as far as kilograms, 2.216. And then if we're looking at pounds, 4 pounds, 14.2 ounces. And with the travel weight, we're looking at the power cord and the power adapter. All in, you're looking at 2.749 kilograms. And in pounds, that is 6 pounds, 0.9 ounces, almost 6.1 ounces. So a little bit of a big boy, although I don't think it's as big as the Asus that we looked at. Okay, let's check out the port selection. On the left side is your power port in, a USB Type A port, an HDMI 2.0 port, a USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 port, and next to that is a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack. Moving over to the right side is the kill switch for the webcam, a power button with the LED indicator light in it, letting you know the device is powered on, a full-size SD card reader, but one thing to note, the cards do not sit flush with the unit, just something to keep in mind, and finally, a full-size USB-A port. I would say overall, a pretty good port selection here. Now, to get inside this laptop, it's actually pretty easy. There are 8 T5 Torx screws. Remove them, pry off the bottom plate with a guitar pick or pry tool. Be gentle, take your time. It's pretty easy though, it'll come off, and once you do that, you're in. Now, once inside, you'll notice the 2 fans for cooling. We'll get into the thermal performance later on. You also notice the 75 watt-hour battery. We'll get into the battery life later on as well. Now, as far as the memory is concerned, my review unit has 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM running at 6400 megahertz, and as you can see, slots used 8 of 8 indicates that it is quad channel. Now, the negative, of course, is the RAM is soldered into the motherboard, not upgradable by the user. Now, we just reviewed the HP NV16, which was the opposite situation, where it had 2 SODIMM slots fully accessible to the user. Kind of wish this had that as well. But the good news is the SSD is fully accessible to the user and upgradable should the user need more storage. And as you can see from these reads and writes, these are excellent results here in 2023. And we're looking at Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.1 combo card that is also soldered into the motherboard, not slotted in, so you cannot upgrade it yourself, but the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth both have been working flawlessly, no issues on either front. Okay, let's talk about the star of the show, and that would have to be its mini LED display. It's a 16-inch display with a 3.2K resolution. That's 3200 by 2000. It has a peak brightness, folks, of 1200 nits. We're not joking here. It also has a 165 hertz refresh rate for that smooth and very fluid experience. They're calling this the PureSight Pro display, and for good reason. As you can see from these metrics, it certainly fits the bill. Now, you're looking at 100% sRGB, 93% Adobe RGB, 86% of the DCI-P3 wide color gamut, 87% NTSC. It also has a Delta E score of 0.75, meaning not only does this have excellent coverage of the color gamut, but it is also color accurate. It also has outstanding contrast, rivaling that of an OLED display. That is correct. So you're having a lot of those same hallmark features of an OLED display without having the limitations in terms of brightness, as this can have peak brightness of 1200 nits, and I measured in standard dynamic range about 615 nits, which is outstanding here, folks. So if you really like a bright display, this is the one to go with. Now, the difference between an OLED display and a mini LED is pretty interesting, and of course, it would make for a separate video. There's too many things to talk about regarding the differences, so I'm not going to get into it too much here. The negatives of an OLED display would be, of course, screen burn-in, which I haven't really experienced too much of over the years, so just keep that in mind. But a mini LED has something that it has to contend with, and that would be called blooming effect, and that is something I haven't really noticed too much on this, although I really haven't really tested it all that much. I may have to do a separate video and do a deeper dive to see if it actually has that blooming effect. So I will report my findings when I do that video. Of course, I'll let everybody know as I do that testing. So just stay tuned for that. Now, it's also a multi-touch display that I thought was very responsive when it comes to pinch to zoom, navigating the OS with your finger. It all worked well. A nice convenience feature here. Love it. So my overall takeaway is this display is outstanding. You will not be disappointed. I guarantee you that. This is one of the best out there. Okay, so this is that 5 megapixel IR camera with a time of flight sensor. Here we're shooting 1440p video. What do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality? Now, as I just said, it is an IR camera. That means you can log in with face recognition with Windows Hello. That worked well. Setup was easy. And it also has some pretty nice microphones, but let me know what you think about the audio. Good for your Zoom calls, good for your work from home needs, hybrid work needs. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. There is the auto brightness in terms of the backlighting and all that stuff. There is all that stuff in the Lenovo Vantage app. But again, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below. Okay, let's get into the performance. And as I mentioned earlier, this has the Core i9-13905H, a 45-watt CPU with 14 cores. It also has the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4050 GPU with a TGP of 100 watts. And I can tell you performance is very good on this unit. Now, this review unit, as I mentioned, has the 4050, but you can get it with the 4060. And I believe it's also offered with the 4070. I'm not sure where availability is on that, but I'll let everyone know should I get that info. Now, single core performance, as you can see here, was very good. And of course, multi-core performance was excellent. As you can see here, 17,915. The overall takeaway is excellent for doing things such as Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, and of course, video editing. When I did a 3-minute render in DaVinci Resolve, an H.264 video, it took 1 minute 50 seconds. Not quite as good as the Asus ZenBook Pro 16X, which did 1 minute 32 seconds, but it beat out all the others in the category, including my Apple Mac Studio with the M1 Max. That is pretty impressive. And when it comes to gaming, I think you pretty much know this is not a dedicated gaming laptop. There are other better choices out there, although this is certainly capable, as indicated by the playable frame rates we're getting on some of the more popular titles. It just depends the settings you choose. So you could definitely game on your downtime with this laptop when you're not creating with it, and it's definitely doable on this laptop. So pretty impressive here. And good news when it comes to thermal throttling. When I ran the TimeSpy stress test to see if this will thermal throttle, it got a passing score of 99.7%, meaning it detected very little, if any, thermal throttling. That's good. And as far as the surface temperatures are concerned, there were a couple of hot spots here and there, nothing to be too concerned about. On the underside, never getting overly hot. They did a pretty good job here with those surface temperatures. But you definitely will notice the fan noise in performance mode under heavy load, getting as high as 55 decibels, quite noticeable. But when you're in the balance mode and so forth, when you're doing everyday tasks, it wasn't much of an issue in terms of the fan noise. So my overall takeaway is they did a really good job in terms of the thermals here. Well, so far, everything looks like sunshine and roses. You might be saying to yourself, this might be the perfect laptop. Well, not so fast. There is an Achilles heel of this, and that would, of course, be its battery life. Now, this has a smaller battery compared to some of the others in the competition, a 75 watt-hour battery, and it managed only 5 hours and 14 minutes on the PC Mark X Modern Office battery test, falling short of the XPS 15, 17, and HP Envy 16, just barely beating out the Asus ZenBook Pro 16X OLED. But it fared a little bit better in the video playback test, getting 8 hours and 6 minutes. Not quite as good as the others, but considering it has a smaller battery, I'll take it. My overall takeaway is battery life is certainly not the best on this in terms of the category, in terms of its competition. So just keep that in mind. But of course, everybody's use case is a little bit different, so your mileage may vary. The other thing to keep in mind is I ran my test with 165 hertz enabled. Expect at least another hour, maybe hour and a half more battery life if you bump it down to 60 hertz. And for those wondering, yes, you can open the lid with one finger and the screen goes back 180 degrees as you see here. So pretty good in that regard as far as getting the perfect viewing angle. Now, when I was typing, I didn't notice too much screen wobble, which is always good, meaning the hinges were on nice and tight. That's really good. Now, as far as the keyboard itself is concerned, I'm a big fan of it. You're looking at about 1.5 millimeters of key travel. I thought it was very comfortable for typing. I thought the feedback was good and the tactility was there. So really good for typing out long documents, emails, and the like. It all worked well. Now you'll notice the numpad here. That's good for those number crunchers that want to get work done as far as spreadsheets and the like. So that worked well. Some may not like that because it moves the touchpad off center a bit, but you get used to it pretty quickly. So that's just something to keep in mind. It also has a multi-stage backlight that I thought worked well. The white LED backlight against the dark gray keys here worked well in terms of seeing that. So really good in getting work done in a dark room or a dimly lit environment. That worked well. Now it has a very nicely spacious touchpad here. As far as scrolling, it was very responsive, doing all the gestures, work as you'd expect. So really good in terms of the touchpad. It is a diving board style touchpad. It's not a haptic touchpad or anything like that. But again, it worked very well. It's very responsive. Okay, let's talk about the audio. And this has a 6-speaker sound system with Dolby Atmos. That means it's going to help with the spatial audio. And the audio is by Bowers and Wilkins. And I think the overall audio quality is excellent. Now, let's give it a listen, and you let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now, let's give it a listen. Okay, people, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the Lenovo Slim Pro 9i, or otherwise known as the Yoga Pro 9i 16-inch laptop here for 2023? Stunning 3.2K mini LED touch display, 1200 nits of brightness, that is outstanding. 165 hertz refresh rate, you gotta love it. Solid productivity performance, competitive gaming performance, excellent keyboard and touchpad, no throttling detected, and it runs cool under load. 5 megapixel IR webcam capable of 1440p video is going to be great for those that need to work from home or hybrid work environments. And that 6-speaker sound system sounded really good. There are very few negatives, but the most glaring one would be its mediocre battery life due to its smaller size battery when you compare it to some of its competition, and the noticeable fan noise under heavy load when you're gaming, when you're doing high-end video editing. But when you're doing everyday tasks, it wasn't really much of an issue. But there's a lot to like here, ladies and gentlemen. The Slim Pro 9i, or the Yoga Pro 9i outside North America, brings a lot to the table, checking a lot, if not almost all of the boxes here for 2023. It's a really good one, folks. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now on Threads. Links for everything will be in the description below. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.